Hey, what's up, everybody? It is $3.55 for XRP. We are still in all-time highs. We are still hanging out in outer space. Or I wouldn't say that. I would say maybe the stratosphere. And we are continuing our ascent to the moon. Or maybe Mars. We'll see. We'll see if we have enough gas to get to Mars. Uh, so we got I'm just going to put a line right there at the tip of the wick of 2018, and you can see we are totally engorged above it, right? So now we're just monitoring the small time frames, right? So if we go down a little bit to the 3-day chart, you can see the wave 1, 2, 3, 4. You could see we're getting that fifth wave up. So I would expect some pretty exciting times ahead, although we just had a pretty big wave here. So if we do have a correction, it would be standard. The worst case scenario, if we had to correct big time, it would probably be at 260, right? Well, probably, yeah, 260 or so. You can see very critical area right in here. I would imagine at some point in XRP's life, it will go back to 260. Just from a technical perspective, if you take out all the ETF stuff and all the ammunition that's coming, and you just look at pure technicals, it most likely will come down to 262 at some point. Either now, maybe we come down now. I don't think so. If we do, it would actually be really bullish because you have a 1, 2, and then this would be another 1, 2, which means this wasn't even the first wave, and this wasn't even the third wave. So it would actually be even more bullish if we came down to 262 because it would set up a 1, 2, 1, 2, which means you still have the third and the fifth wave, right? Because right now we're counting this as the third wave, and the third wave might not be finished yet. So, but I don't believe it's going to go down there because you could see when we broke out of this, it was see you later. We didn't even come back, right? This was a major spot. We just snapped through it like it was nothing. So what could happen is we could go up, boom, 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 get to our $10 level. And then let's say we have some kind of mid-cycle correction for a super cycle or even a bear market, and we come back down. We're most likely going to come down to 262 again. But if this sucker goes above $15, it's going to be, it might be a little bit harder to do that. So if I put this at 15 and I go all the way down, that's about right. That's 82%. So let's see what was this? This was a lot. This was like over 90%. I don't think it's going to be that drastic because 90% was due because of this. This was, you're never going to get this pump ever again. This was insane. This was like 65,000%, which needed a 90+% correction. Well, if we only go up, let's say we go up, and you can start it here because this was the low, or you could start it at the wave. It depends. If we go up 2,500%, nowhere near 60,000%, are we really going to need to correct 90%? I don't think so. So if we go up to 15%, I would be interested to know what the ratio is from 60 plus thousand to 90 versus, let's say we go up, between 2,000 and 4,000%. What would that ratio be? It probably, I don't know. It'd be at least 50%. You got to at least have a 50% dump. From here, it was 83%, right? So I think that's standard. And if you look at Bitcoin and you look at, let's take a couple of them. We'll take this one here. Look at that. The same thing. 85. Something about that 80% level. We'll do another one here. That one's not quite. So it's between, I would say between 70 and 80%. Now remember, Bitcoin was at a massive market cap and it still went down 75%. So this one over here is probably like 90%. Let's see. Almost 86. So you're looking at between 70 and 80% for a bear market correction. So and that kind of helps you, right? Because it'll kind of gauge where you're going back. So if you missed, let's say we were at like $7 and you missed it, it's like, well, you should have bought it, back when we were talking about it all through in here. And I mean, I don't know. Well, if you missed it, then you could always buy it back at a bear market, right? So if we kept pumping up here, I'm going to have to use a different drawing tool. So if we pumped up here, right, let's say we get up to, like this $10 area, I think that would be normal, right? And then we look at the chart, it doesn't look too crazy, right? It doesn't look like it went up too much. It doesn't look like this. But we are on log scale. So if I flip it to linear, it's going to look insane, right? It's going to look absolutely insane, right? So you can see just how high this son of a gun is, right? So that's why we like to look at it on log scale so we can get all of the waves in there. Unless you're looking at the small time frames, it doesn't matter really. So if we're looking at an 83% dump for XRP, let's see what this would be. That's about 70, but we could fall lower than that. And I don't think we would, but 83%, well, would you look at that? It's actually right at the low of this correction. So if I put it right about there, that's about $1.75. And if we fall from where I have it marked, which is, I'm just speculating, we'll say I want it closer to $10. So I'll say right about there is fine. And I go all the way down. You could see we're right about 83%, right at that low there. If you're looking at it from a $10 perspective. Now, if we go, and this is just speculation, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if we say it was going to be more realistic, like around $9, and then we go down and we hit our first line, that's 71%. So we're in the threshold, and then we fall a little bit further, that's 81%. So let's say we went down to 90%. I mean, I don't think XRP is ever going to go back below $1. I don't think so. And if we don't get past, $4, then I will take that off the table. But we have to get an extension. We got to get up here in order for us not to go back below $1 ever again. So if I take this, the dollar level is right there. And never say never, right? Never say never. You do, and this is the whole point, right? You have so much support. This is the good thing. When we have a bear market, our bear market is going to be much weaker, meaning better, right? The bear is weaker, not strong, than Bitcoin's bear market. I believe the reason why is because we have built such an incredible base, right? This is a 7.5-year structure. We have so much support, all layered within this chart in here, right? So tons of layered concrete steel. So, and look how long it is. Very, very long, right? So if we break out and we come back down, this is going to be the strongest safety net. We got a big safety net, right? That's why it's so imperative. It's so important to get your entry, below, really below $2, to be completely safe. But you could, if you didn't, if it's at $3 or even $4, I mean, you're still being okay, but you just want to just remember to take your profit. Let's just put it that way. So it's not an exact science, but you can see back over here, look how much layered support we had back over here, and we never came back down to backtest. If you draw this line out, we never touched it, right? So that could that be the case again? I mean, I suppose so. Let's go up to the 10-day chart and let's put a line down here. So there's your box, right? And then here is your second box, right? And you can see, let's put a rectangle right here. You can see there's all that empty space right there between 2 cents and really like 17 cents. There's all that empty space. All right. So when we broke through that empty space, it basically flipped into support, and then we supported, and then we supported, right? And then we came up. So we never had to come back down to home. We never had to back test that home base, right? So could that be the case again, where you break out of this and we get, maybe the bear market's only, it really depends, I guess, how high, because again, this went up 60,000%. So of course it's going to be really difficult for it to come back down. So that's why I don't believe that it most likely will come back down. But let's just say for fun, if we put a little bit of a box, it's going to be much skinnier because it's going to be on log scale. We break out, we might not have to back test. We might just stop here and then wait for the next cycle. But I doubt it. I don't think so. As bullish as I am, I still believe we will come back between $2 and $4 in the next bear market. Contingent, I should say, on $8 to $12, even $8 to $15. Now, if we start going above $20, it's going to change a little bit. Because if we are at $20 XRP, right? Let's go up to 20 bucks. Right about there. And we go down, 70% dump, you're only at $6. Right? If we go down 80%, would you look at that? That's interesting. 80% or 82% is exactly where we are right now. So if this sucker somehow managed to pop all the way to 20 bucks, we could still theoretically go all the way back down to 355 at some point in the future. So if we're at like $8, $9, $10 and you're like, oh man, I wish I had more. Well, no, you're going to have to wait. You be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient, and then eventually you'll have your moment. Now, there's no guarantee you're going to get your moment because let's say, trading is hard. It's not easy because, like, for example, especially when you have when we just got regulations, we're going to see a lot of momentum, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of businesses take off, a lot of crypto company. It's just going to go crazy because it's like the internet in 1997, right? So if the price is, let's say it's around $8 to $9 and we pull back a little bit, people are skeptical. And then all of a sudden, Ripple comes out with a major announcement of some sort, right? Because remember, there's been multiple interviews, where Brad says, oh, I can't talk about that. Oh, we can't talk about that right now. That means, and he's referring to deals, right? There are partnerships that he cannot disclose at the moment because it's for legal reasons, for whatever reasons, right? So what happens when those things get released, like, hey, this partnership, it could be with Walmart, it could be with IBM, it could be with Chase, it could be with Goldman Sachs, I don't know, it could be with a lot of stuff. It could be a government contract for certain liquidity services for overseas, or there could be derivatives, it could be tokenization, it could be so many different complexities. It could be RLUSD, something to do with that, right? where it doesn't directly affect XRP, but it's on the XRP ledger, which creates more volume, which creates more liquidity, which creates more demand for XRP, right? So at the end of the day, if you're like, okay, I missed it here, but we're going to come back and back test, and then bam, Ripple comes out with a big deal, you go right up to like $30, $40. I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating, right? So then it would be almost impossible for it to get back down here, because then, let's say we scratch the surface of, like that $30 level, not even talking about 40. I mean, you can still get down to about maybe $5, maybe even where we are roughly right now. That's still within that 80%. Once you go past 90, it becomes less likely, especially because how big the market cap would then be, right? So a market cap superseding Goldman Sachs, superseding Walmart, right? It just passed Walmart in market cap. Think about that for a second. Imagine this thing crashed 80, 90%, and it's bigger than Walmart. I mean, that's a big deal, right? And that's why I believe they're going to have regulations kind of like the stock market, right? Because if you're going to bring in grandma and grandpa, you're going to give them a literal heart attack, okay? They're going to have a heart attack. So I hope that they don't create all this bull crap like they did with the stock market. For example, they have the plunge protective team, right? So if the stock market is just crashing, 1,000 points, 1,000 points, 1,000 points, just down, 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 they can come in and stop it, right? With the plunge protective team, with regulation, they can stop it, which is not really, I mean, you're sort of interfering in the free trade situation. But for crypto, it'd be much harder. I don't think they could stop crypto because there's not unless all the exchanges coordinate together, I just don't see that happening. But there could be certain regulations in it to protect or to sort of mitigate the volatility to the downside. Right? So that's why this market is so volatile, because we don't have regulations. So it's all speculative. Speculation is more powerful than actual utility, if you really think about it. Because with utility, everybody knows what it's capable of. With speculation, the sky's the limit, right? The sky is the limit on what its potential could be. And with that being said, it could also be the sky is the limit in terms of price. But with utility, you can say XRP was designed for this, and it's going to do this amount of liquidity, this amount of payments or whatever, and they have a number, and then they can calculate that number into the price, and then they can kind of gauge from there, and that way everyone's kind of knowing what that number would be. But without that, it's all speculation. In speculation, it could be anywhere from $5 to $10,000. I mean, you've seen the theories out there on YouTube. I am not one of those guys who think it's going to go to 10,000. I just don't see that. I don't even see 1,000. I do see 50. I do see $100, but I feel like that's going to be way further down the road. Now, is it possible to get to 1,000, 10,000? I mean, anything's possible, right? But there's no evidence to suggest that. That's why it's called speculation. That's why we see these crazy 70,000% moves, because it's all a hope. It's a hope. It's not real. But now that we have regulations, now things are getting real. And reality has real numbers, and real numbers have real expectations, and real expectations, you're not going to have these crazy runs. It's going to be more methodical, like the stock market. I'm not saying now. I'm saying later. I mean, we're not even scratching the surface yet. I'm sure once we get the first phase of regulation, it's still going to be the same crypto market. It's still going to be volatile, still going to be insane. But as we, I'm talking like maybe 10 years from now, I think it's going to slow down a lot. So that's why it's so important to get to get rich now, because it's going to be hard to get rich in the future with small man's money. I would imagine most people, right? If you're not making more than 80,000 a year, then you got small man money, and that's okay. I do too. right? But small man money can turn into big man money very fast in crypto. But it's almost impossible to make, for example, let's say a guy making $20 an hour. How the hell is he going to be a millionaire in the stock market? Unless he's trading and using leverage and using strategy. I'm talking about an investor. How is an investor going to turn a $20 an hour or 20, even 25 or even 15, whatever? How is he going to turn that into $1 million portfolio? It's going to be very difficult because the stock market doesn't go up that much unless you're picking specific stocks. I don't know, like Tesla, but Tesla's already freaking crazy. The most valued car company. I think it's way overvalued. I think Tesla is trading more like a crypto, like a meme coin, like a speculative tool than actual what the numbers are saying. So I that's why I've never touched Tesla. I don't really touch stocks at all because it's just not my thing. So, but that could change, right? That could change once things become more balanced in terms of what crypto was really designed to do. So last week was crypto week. President Trump, I mean, this isn't a game. This is the real deal. We're going forward with a lot, and it's a lot to grasp. And I believe that all the infrastructure is already built. Everything now is just it basically just getting boots on the ground. You know, uh, what's the word? Metaphorically speaking, of course, right? To really get that, really drive that. The technology of what it's capable of, what it's used for, right? Because who the hell's buying XRP for payments? Nobody. Everybody's buying XRP because they think it's going to go up, and that's the point, right? People need it has to go that way because XRP is not designed for me and you. It's designed for banks, right? So, but we are the liquidity providers. It used to be that a central bank is the liquidity provider, but now the investor is the liquidity provider, right? And we're providing that liquidity for the banks, right? For them to transact. And not just that, but there's so much more to it. And that's kind of in the fundamental side. So, but that could be another video for another day. I digress. Let's focus more on the price itself. So let's go to the weekly. From a weekly perspective, I'm going to check the RSI. RSI looks good. Obviously, you got some bearish divergence, but this to me isn't finished yet. So if we go back in time and we look at the RSI back over here, it really reminds me, actually, let me see if I can get it all in the same frame. You could see kind of right here was there, and then we came down, then we went sideways. Same thing here. Came up, came down, went sideways. And then we built this little flag right here, and then we had that one big super shoot, that rocket ship, right? So that could be something similar here, right? So it started off as bearish divergence, but that sucker kept going up, right? And it almost basically it basically went higher than the previous one. So that was interesting. So the RSI looks great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, that's good. Now the other thing would be, let me look a little bit closer, and we got the bull market support band, super bullish. We have our we have our cross right here, right? You could see we came into it. It's supporting the price. It's looking really good. Definitely confluence in the bull market support. You can see right here, right? All in here. We dipped below it a little bit, but then we came back. It's kind of like intertwining with it. So if we look at the EMAs, this is all called consensio, angled up, angled up, angled up, angled up, right? So everything is in full force to the upside. But that doesn't mean we can't have big corrections along the way. For example, I mean, this could still technically, theoretically be a flat because it's 1, 2, 3 waves. We really need to get that wave to get up here so that it's much bigger and less proportional from this wave here. So if this is ABC, we want the C, or we don't want ABC, we want 1, 2, 3, or it could be 1, 2, 1, 2. But that will be another day. So from a triangle perspective, we know that this, this is a triangle, which surely it looks to be A, B, C, D, E, right? You can see that this is just the beginning. So there's a couple different ways you can measure a triangle. You could take wave D and just basically do this from wave D up and then down to wave E. But you can see we totally crushed all of those targets, right? And that's why we're going to have to look at this on log scale. I mean, this is just one way, right? And you can see where we're at. We're all the way at the 2 here, right? So what I'm going to do, this is all new content here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Bitcoin, and we're going to look at its triangle it created back in the day, and we're going to see what that target was, because this right here was totally a triangle. And I don't think it's going to work because, let's see, well, so yeah, we have A, B, C, and then D, and then that little thing was E. It's definitely not the nicest looking one, but it is what it is. So if I take wave C, and it's not the best triangle, I know, but if I just look at this from wave C up to D and then down to E, there's really no depth in here. So it's probably not the best example. But you can see, look where we got to. We only got to the 2. And that's exactly where XRP is right now. So could it be the end of the show? I suppose it could be. But if you look, this thing went significantly higher. That's why it's probably not the best example. So if we look at it from a better way, I think, and there's multiple ways, and we'll do them all, is from the bottom here to the top, and then see with C19 it was such a big dump. So I'm not going to quite put it so far. And you can see we hit, if I go down to C, we hit the 2. We still hit the 2, right? If I go up a little bit, you can see we're right around that 1618 area. And then last but not least, the old school way of doing it is just take the bottom to the widest part of the triangle, and then you take this and you put it right there. And you could see it did an okay job. Let me make sure it's right on the money there. It did an okay job. And I'll take a line here. So it actually exceeded the target by a little bit, but it did an okay job, right? So that's a couple different ways you can look at a triangle. So if we go back and we look at XRP now, well, the 2 is actually not quite there yet. It would be at almost $4. So hopefully it doesn't just end at $4. That would suck. So if we take it from A, and then we go up to B, and then we come down to C, you can see that Bitcoin hit, it was the 161A. Let me just do it one more time. It was actually, yeah, it actually went higher than the 1618. This is log scale though. So this is Yeah, well, it actually hit the 2 between the 1618 and the 2. Okay, so let's go back and let's look at XRP. So that's a lot. I don't know. That seems like it's too much. Let's see here. So we'll put the A there. The B looks good. So the 2 is all the way at $95. Wow. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not trying to get us all excited, but that's, I mean, it's theoretically, Bitcoin did it. I mean, why couldn't XRP do it, right? Now, from a percentage perspective, I think it'd be a lot more. But if we just take that out of it, we still left with the 1618, which is at $31. It's just a different way of measuring it. So there you go, $31 XRP. I think that's a little bit high. I would probably stick with that 25 to 27. But basically, Bitcoin proved that it went up to the 2. So let me see if I could get them. Put them in the same screen here. We'll bump that up to the 2-week chart. And we'll bump that up to the 10-day chart. There we go. So, wow, look at that. Interesting, is it not? So let's try to match this up a little bit. So Bitcoin hit basically the 2. And let me see, is this on log scale? I don't even know if this is on log scale. Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, it is on log scale. Okay, so interesting, the 2. All right, so let me put the line here, right at 2. That's basically $95, and I'll put another one right at the 1618, and then I'll get this, and I'll put that at the 2. I'll get rid of that, and then I'm gonna put this right at the 1618. So that's basically, wow, look at this. That's the same type of measurement here. So, very interesting. So basically, we are not even at the 1-to-1 extension yet. So that's like, you know, we're not even we're basically like at $10,000 or $20,000, right? So obviously it's different, different type of triangle, different type of way to calculate it. But if I go up, it actually brings the price higher, not lower. So if we look at it from a percentage, and we'll measure it from C up to here, that's only 1,500% though. See, that's the thing, right? Now, if I go from E or from C up to here, that's 34,000%. So it's completely different. That's why it's not really likely that would happen, but it's a way you can measure it, and it does say it's theoretically possible. So there's one more target, which is basically we're just going to measure the length of the triangle. So we're going to go from A, way down here, all the way up to about right there. And then I'm going to take this line and I'm going to put it right where the breakout should occur, or well, where it did occur. And if we look close and we put this line right about there, you can see that actually, that I like that. I think that's a good number. $17. So that's at the 1.414 on log. $17. There you go. I think that's doable. That's in the realm of reality. Let's just say that. So for Bitcoin, and I believe Bitcoin was at a higher market cap, I think, back when it was at 20K or so, then compared to where XRP is now. So if we take that, you could see that also went up to around the 1618, 1.414. So there you go. That's a unique way. That's a unique way we can calculate, a few targets, right? So that's just a triangle perspective. There's other ways we can look at it as well. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build confluence and multiple layers of confluence in a specific target zone. So on the conservative, that's like 8 to 12. On the intermediate, that's like 15 to 20. On the super bullish side, you're looking at anything north of 30 or between 27, north of 26, up towards even 90 or $100, which I don't think is going to happen. But if it's going to take something, it's going to take something huge for that to happen, like a deal or something. So we'll see if that even comes close. But we have to keep our expectations conservative, right? And as long as you expect it to go, $8 to $10, you're psychologically healthy. If you expect it to go way higher than that and it doesn't, then it's not going to be so fun, right? So let's just take a screenshot of that. There we go. And let's kick everything off the screen and let's go back to the drawing board. So basically all I did was take a extension from there, and you can see that comes right at $17, between 17 and $30. So is there any other charts out there that could give us confluence? I'm sure there is. I know there is, but I'm not gonna. I'll have to set that up later. But for now, let's just we'll keep those for future videos. Let's look close. Let's see what's going on at the smaller levels here. So we were tracking this wave. And obviously we're in an impulse. We have a running flat, and we're trying to figure out what's going on right here. Obviously we're in some type of correction. So if we look at it zoomed in, it's looking like, some kind of three-wave move here. Now, is it finished? It could be. It could be. So there's a couple ways, right? So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, you got a B, and then you have some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I don't really like it. There's a C. It's kind of a running flat, and then you have a 1, 2, and then you're kind of gonna gear up to go. But I don't think it's gonna be so simple. We could be also like kind of going sideways in here, like a reaccumulation, like the crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Or this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So boom, boom, boom. It'd be a bigger flat, something like that. Right? I mean, other than that, bullishly speaking, from an idea, it's still corrective. I see like 3, then down, then I see 5. That's a three-wave move, right? You got 3 back, and then you got 3 up. So that's all corrective. So we're just going to have to let that keep grinding its way through time and then sort of see what structure it builds. But at the moment, let's look at some other charts. So let's look at ADA, and we'll go to the 4-hour. And we could do we could do these targets for ADA as well. One of them would be, I'll just do a simple from the bottom all the way to the top, all the way back to the bottom, and minimum, bare minimum 250. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's probably better than XRP, I think. Let's see. Not quite, but if we get where I think we would get, which is more like to the 1618, that would put ADA around 660 or so. ADA had an all-time high of $3. So about 30 to 50 cents less than XRP. So that $7 level makes complete sense. But the problem with ADA is it doesn't have the amount of structure XRP has, right? XRP looks like this. So it has extra layers in there. But anyways, so we're getting a little bit extended. It's looking a little bit too green. You got too many green candles. You kind of want to chill a little bit. We're right in the resistance levels. It makes sense, right? So you could say, well, if we zoom in, it doesn't make sense because it still looks bullish, right? You have this running flat. A lot of running flats, actually. So kind of boom, boom, boom. So running flat, boom, boom, boom. And is this another running flat here? We shall see. But I like what I'm seeing here. You could see as we sort of break out of here and we're kind of supporting the price, we're looking good so far. So it is Tuesday. You know, we had a kind of a bearish Monday. So as long as Tuesday is kind of just, you know, what it is doing now, it will, the most important days to me in crypto is between Wednesday and Friday. I think those are the most important, especially Thursdays. So Thursday, I think, will be the most exciting day. But if we start blasting off right now, which kind of looks like we're doing a little bit, let's see. Yeah, you got a little bit of a break here. We just got it, literally, within this 30-minute candle. So that's cool. So if we start going for it right now, which we totally could, you know, we might not have such a positive Thursday, but it's really subjective at the end of the day. But I've just noticed Thursdays, something about Thursdays are very interesting. Even going back to the last cycle. So we have 5 down. We also have 5 up. And we have 3 down. So what's going on there? Well, it's probably not. It's probably either this was 3, 4, and then 5, and now this is 1, 2, 3, and then we might go 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So that would be 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, right? And then it can turn into something more complex, or it could go from there. That's one way to look at it, right? And when I say 4, 5, I mean it's probably just the subwaves. So I like, you got a 1, 2. You got a 1, 2. And then you got a 1, 2. And then looks like you got 3. And then 4. And then 5. So all this could be, that's 1, 2. All of this is 3. And this could be 4. And then we still have 5 later. So 88 looks great. Now if we compare that to XRP, let's see if we can get it sort of matched up here. So You can see ADA is a little more bullish. We broke the top. XRP couldn't quite do it. So that's one of the first signs I'm looking for, like, okay, which one's gaining strength, which one's losing strength. XRP was totally gaining strength in the beginning, but it's losing a little bit of strength right now, but that's because it had already gone up so much, right? So this is where the rotational subject comes in, and that's when you start thinking, okay, well, maybe I want to rotate sometime soon. Or when I say rotate, I mean, move some stuff around. Maybe you got too much XRP, maybe, offload 5% into ADA, something like that, right? Because if we look at it like this, you can see the difference. Look how massive that is. Look how small that is, right? So, if you think, well, this wave should turn into this wave, then you can take a piece of that, put it all the way down here, and hope that it has a little bit more to go, right? That's kind of the idea. So that will be kind of what we'll talk about in the future, in a future members video. But other than that, the sequential, I think we had a 9, or we're coming up on a 9, or maybe that was a different chart. We had a nice 9 buy, we broke out. So essentially ADA, the problem I had with it was the descending triangle, right? But you can see we've totally broken above this descending triangle, which is exactly what we wanted. And you can see we're breaking above the horizontal. So the next one would be here and essentially here. So we still have some levels to get to, right? So I don't know if it's just going to go straight up. Probably not. Or we get up here and we kind of have to chill out a little bit before you get that bigger break. So that's kind of what I would expect, something along those lines. So the market cap of XRP would probably be a lot better. So everything I said in terms of the price of XRP and for the targets, I would more likely do that on here. So let's do that really quick. And let's just take 2 targets right here. And then we're going to go down. What do we say? The 1.414? Well, that is perfect. 900 billion. That's exactly. And we go up from where we are now. It's about 340%. So we go back to the price. And we go up 340%. Wow, you're looking at 15 bucks. So that's actually higher than I thought. That's really good. So that's almost close to that $17 level. Okay, well, we still have one more target, which is the triangle itself. So if I just take that, and then we'll do that, and then we'll just, for the look of it, I can do it from there. I could do it from here. This is more conservative, so we'll do that. And we'll put that right there. And look at that. That actually lines up nicely. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's really nice. Beautiful. So we have 2 points of confluence. 1, the extension. 2, the triangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this line and we're going to put it right about there, and then we're going to get rid of that. So that's our target, that's our line, and that's about $1 trillion. So once you cross into the trillions, that's when it gets real. That's when it gets super real. Again, we just passed Walmart in market cap. We passed Uber in market cap. We're very close to pass Goldman Sachs in market cap, which is insane, right? When you think about it. So if I pull another trend from here to here to here from these waves, you could see we're right around that 3 area. So that's also interesting. And if we wanted to do the whole chart, and I can come all the way down to the bottom, which was $21 million. That's insane. So back in June 2014, basically July, we were at $21 million market cap. That is like, I can't even fathom that. That's like totally insane. So if you would have bought on that day, dude, you would be, all you had to do was put $100 in and you would be like, I don't even know, like a billionaire. I mean, dude, that's insane. That is 1,000,000%. So 1,000,000% is how many X? Is that 1,000X or 100,000X? I can't even think. My mind's just kind of, well, okay. So 100,000. No, it's 10,000. Yeah. So it's 10,000X. So did I say a billion? I meant a million. So you got a million. So you put $100 in, and you're a millionaire. That's crazy. So let's do this. We're gonna take, because I've never done this before on the XRP market cap. I've really had no reason to. I'm not sure why it's not working. And we're gonna go up to the 2018 all-time high, and then we're gonna come down, and then we need to, well, if we had a 1-to-1 extent, that's 30 trillion, but that's log. Let's put it on linear. There we go. And you can see, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's not even, you're looking at, let's see, we're at 210. So you're looking at not even 160%. So you go back to XRP, the price, we go up 160%. I mean, yeah, that's like right at that $9-10 level. So I think it's becoming very clear what our conservative targets are, what our moderate, and what our intermediate target, or what our super bullish targets are. So what that would mean is an exit strategy, right? How are you going to exit the market? There's different ways you can do it, but that will be a future kind of members video on kind of how I would do it. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. It's just kind of all putting it together and figuring out what would be best for you. For example, if we hit $8-9, you can sell 20%. Is that 20% going to be, you're going to be pleased with that? Because if you sell 20% and it never goes higher than that, well, that's all you sold, 20%. At least you got your money back, and at least you made a little bit too, right? So you could say, 20% at 8-9, maybe another 20% at 20, or you can go 30%, or you could go only 5% at that amount. I wouldn't do that, but yeah, there's different ways we can do it. So with that being said, let's take a look at Bitcoin and then THETA, and then we'll wrap it up here. So Bitcoin is looking better. It's looking better here. So we're monitoring this correction. And yeah, it looks like it's doing exactly what we one of our ideas, which is probably a B wave, where you have 3 waves up, you have 3 waves down, and then you're going to kind of shoot up here in 5. And then if this is A, and this turns into a B, then you could still get C later and then go up. Or it can come down here or wherever it wants to go. We'll see later. Or this was A, or this was some kind of 3. This was 3, and this was 3. So you had 3 down, you had 3 up, you had 3 back down. And now we're ready to go. We're ready to go now. We're ready to rock. So basically, you got 2 ideas there. Or I mean, you can even say boom, boom, boom. I don't really like that shape at all. So it could also be maybe even a triangle like A, B, C, D, E. If it comes down like that and it's kind of like that, you know, you could see something like that. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. Zoom in, small time frames. I mean, really nothing there. Yeah, there's really nothing. I mean, you got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like you got 5. So we'll see. Theta. Come on, Theta. Give me something here. So Theta is back towards the resistance area. And yeah, you know, it's just a waiting game. We really nothing happens until we break this. You know, we got 1, 2, 3. So we need, you know, we got to break it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, once we break it, it'll be a lot smoother. So if we go to a smaller time frame, it looks choppy. It looks choppy, and that could be good and that could be bad. It could be good because, you know, it's constantly resetting. You pump, you reset, you pump, you reset, you know, you pump, you reset, and it kind of you kind of grind and melts up, climbing the wall of worry, kind of. Or it could be bad because you could say, well, it's corrective, it's correcting up, and I don't think it's correcting up. I think it's definitely not correcting up. Yeah, there's really nothing clear here, except, you know, you got some kind of a 3-wave move in here, just like that, right? Boom. So if we can get something like that going here, you can kind of see the trend developing. So you can kind of see this behavior is like this behavior, except this is angled higher than this. The trajectory is angled a lot steeper, which is good. So we could be getting ready to blast off, hopefully soon. Now, this looks definitely corrective. I don't think we're ready yet. It would probably be best if we kind of did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go up. You know, something like that would be just fine, and that would kind of look like this. You know, on the zoomed out scale, kind of like that, and then go. So that's what I'm thinking here for Theta. So we can go all the way down to 84 cents and still be okay. So that's basically it. SHIB looks pretty good here. I like the shape. You know, you got this flat shape, which is good. I'm not sure if it's finished yet. We'll have to see. Basically that and that. So it's kind of doing the same thing. So Monero, keep an eye on Monero. You know, it kind of had this little move up, and now this move down after going sideways. So we could start heading back up soon for Monero. XLM. I mean, it could be like 3, 3, and then 3, you know. It's correcting bullishly, let's just put it that way. And AVAX, nothing really clear on AVAX. It's just trending up, you know. So everything's looking good. Not too bad at all. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. I could be totally dead wrong. Theta Fuel is also looking good. I expect it to keep climbing its way up. You know, we're right here. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.